Well, thank you, Deacon Matt. And I just want to take a moment to thank all of you for being here today. It means so much to all of our family as well as Larry. I can feel the love in this room. Larry is smiling right now to see all of us together in honor of him. Larry loved people. I just want to share a little story. He loved people so much. He enjoyed talking to strangers and making new friends all the time, all the time. We would go to Florida as a family on vacation, and we would go to the beach, and Larry was not a fan of the sun, if anybody knew him. And he wasn't crazy about the beach either, but he came along, and when we went to the beach, Larry would enjoy sitting at the bar. And in the afternoon, and he'd make new friends. And he had the best time doing that. He would spend so much time there, and I was at the hotel, and I'm in the elevator, and the next day I see somebody in the elevator, they're like, "Where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from Chicago." And he goes, "There's a lot of people from Chicago. We met a couple yesterday, and we met Larry at the bar." Larry at the bar? That's my husband. Larry always loved making new friends, and everyone always loved Larry.
Amen.
Thank you so much, everyone. And we're going to pass this on to...
Our first at bat,
All right.
number 4,
Here we go.
Erica Boyle.
Yeah.
I know Mom started by thanking everyone for coming, but we all just wanted to take a second to thank Mom. Mom always sat by Dad's side during chemo. Even when she had a million things to do on her to-do list, she sat there all day long next to Dad. And she kept us communicated on what was going on through Dad's journey. And I also wanted to say thank you, Mom, for always saying to Dad, "Let's have one more." Dad was always so proud of you, Mom, and the big family that you two created. And both of you have given us the best gift in the world, our siblings. We also wanted to thank all of our significant others who probably have felt like single parents a little bit this past week when we were all together getting ready at the house. But they booked this place today for us. They cooked dinner for us. They put together the photo boards. They brought us coffee and got us deodorant. We truly couldn't have done it without you guys. And for all of our siblings too, for making today happen and keeping everybody strong. Today you'll hear from all 13 of Larry's kids. All of us will be sporting a White Sox jersey. Dad was a major sports enthusiast and was proud to have a big family that was larger than the size of a baseball team. Each of us also selected a special walk-up song that reminds us of Dad and all the memories and lessons that he's taught us. Again, thank you all so much for coming and being our biggest fan. When any member of the Conway family hears even the first note of Thunderstruck, we immediately transport to Comiskey Park, home of the Chicago White Sox. Dad would be proud to hear us call it Comiskey. He refused to call it anything else, even through all the name changes. Dad attended the White Sox opener with family and friends for nearly 37 years. Sorry, 47. He treated the Sox opener like a little kid treats their birthday party, inviting everyone they know and getting all giddy the morning of. If his friends were even a second late, you'd hear Dad on the phone. "Hey, Shipperbrains, where the hell are you?" One opener, Dad had the stomach flu, but he still drove us all down to the game, the first ones to arrive in Lot G. He even tailgated with us, and knowing Dad, probably even enjoyed a cold beer. As it got closer to first pitch, everyone made their way inside the stadium, except for Dad. He got cozy in his car and made occasional trips to the parking lot porta potty with a roll of toilet paper that he brought from home. When he whipped out the roll of toilet paper, it occurred to us that this was Dad's plan all along, just to join in on the tailgating, and that was no surprise. Dad took any opportunity to surround himself with loved ones. As much as Dad enjoyed attending professional sporting events, I think he loved watching his kids and grandkids play even more. No matter where you were playing on the field, you could always tell where Dad was sitting without even looking in the stands. We all wanted to make him proud as he watched. Now, at any athletic event, you could have made the game-winning buzzer beater, scored a hat trick that earned the family Dairy Queen, or hit a home run. But after the game, he'd still have a list of things you could have done better. That was Dad. He humbled us and made us want to work harder. When he would play catch in the backyard with us, as soon as we threw one over his head, he'd say, "Hit me in the chest." If we did it again, he'd make us go get it. And if you did it one more time after that, he'd say, "One more bad throw and I'm done." And none of us ever wanted to be done. We wanted that game of catch to go on forever. Now some of you are probably wondering, why are there so many overthrows to begin with? But I promise you, it was always one of my brothers. In fact, in this very room during Dad's Father of the Bride speech, he told me I was always his best athlete. And I'll forever be honored that he saw me that way. Thanks for making us all the athletes that we are today, Dad, and keeping us humble while doing it. We hope to continue to make you so proud on and off the field, Dad. Love you always, and go Sox.
Just like the lyrics of my walk-up song, growing up, I was always watching my dad and wanted to be just like him. I was always right there with him when he was working on projects around the house, paying attention to how he did things and how he carried himself. I'm certainly the man I am today because of the example he set. These past few days without my dad, I found myself thinking about all the things he won't be here for. At work as my boss, my wedding this October, and one day, meeting my own kids. Pretty quickly after those thoughts, I find myself smiling. Because my dad was there for so much. He was there for every birthday and holiday. He showed up to every game and every practice. Hockey, baseball, soccer, basketball, football, you name it, he was there. He was outside videotaping every first day of school. He made it to my junior high, high school, and college graduations. And most recently, he got to see me get engaged to my fiance. While all these moments were significant, it's the simple ones I'll cherish forever. Riding in the backseat of his car and asking where we were going, only for him to say, "Crazy," and swerve the car out. Or after he finished cutting the grass, he'd take me for a ride on his lap on the lawnmower, or how he would always make sure I shook my coach's hands at the end of the season and thanked them for coaching me. And then there's the spotted cow story. I'm pretty sure most of you holding one right now have already heard it from my dad, probably more than once. But if somehow you haven't or you've forgotten, let me tell it one more time. I was in 7th grade playing travel baseball. Our team had an out-of-town tournament in Milwaukee, and we had an early morning game. My dad dropped me off about an hour before first pitch, parked the car, and walked into the park. As he walked up, another parent from our team yelled, "Hey Larry, we've got a problem." My dad couldn't imagine what could be wrong before the game even started. He asked, "What, the other team didn't show up?" The other parent replied, "No, we need to decide what beer we're drinking. My dad thought, what are you talking about? This is a kids' tournament. They don't sell beer. But sure enough, the concession stand sold it by the pitcher. My dad looked at the menu, probably saw Miller Lite, and thought, I'm not drinking that piss water. And he and the other dad settled on pitchers of Wisconsin's exclusively sold Spotted Cow. And from that moment on, he was hooked. He went from being a Miller Genuine Draft guy to strictly drinking Spotted Cow. After that day, he had my siblings at school in Kenosha bringing him cases home on the regular. Or he'd make trips across the border himself, where he quizzed the Sam's Club worker checking the receipt to guess where he was from as he walked out with 2 cases in his car. I remember this story so vividly because anytime my dad encountered someone new and the subject of Spotted Cow came up, he had to tell this exact story. I swear I've heard it a million times, and each time he got more enthusiastic about it. All jokes aside, stories like these show who my dad was. Someone who loved life, loved sharing it with others, and never missed a chance to make a memory. Above all, he always showed up for his family. He worked hard, he provided for us, and he made sure we knew we were supported in everything we did. I've always looked up to my dad and wanted to be just like him. I can't wait to have kids of my own one day and give them all he gave us. Dad, thank you for everything. I'll carry you with me in everything I do. I'm sure you're having a couple Spotted Cows tonight up in heaven as you watch over us. I love you forever, Dad.
Next up, number 10,
36.
It's just a stepping stone to where we are, where we've been. Said we'd do it all again. Remember when?
Hello, everybody. I'm Dan, one of Larry's Big Boys. I chose to play this song, Remember When, by Alan Jackson, because it was one of my dad's favorites. And I'd always give him a hard time about playing old country songs, but now these types of songs become some of my favorites to listen to. One thing my dad said to me that I can still clearly hear in my mind is, I'm proud of you, buddy. Whether it was at the Father's Barbecue, after my high school football playoff run, high school graduation, maybe his proudest moment was when I decided to go to college DuPage to save a lot of money. Although he told me many times, I wish I had told him while he was still with us how proud I was of him. For all he went through and never losing humor as my dad. In his final days, he wasn't able to move around as easily and was often achy. So he asked his 2 strong sons, me of course, and my older brother Jay, to help him into bed. As we finally got him settled in bed, my mom asked him, "You comfortable, Larry?" And he replied sarcastically, "Can't you tell?" Causing Jake and I to break out in laughter. Even in the midst of his hardest battles, he always found a way to make us laugh. And for that, I'm incredibly proud of my dad, who will work every day to continually make him proud. Thank you.
My dad believed that he was always right. He was the oldest in our family, therefore, he must be the wisest. He knew the direction based on the position of the sun. He could predict the end to almost any movie. He insisted the original was always better than a remake, and that meat could be cooked well done. There were a lot of things we just couldn't convince him to change. Every once in a while, there would be a time when he'd solicit my opinion. But even then, he'd sort of half listen to your suggestion and put his own spin on things. For example, when we used to go to Arlington Racetrack every year, he'd look at the program and take his notes on the horses. The rest of us would huddle around the other program and pick horses we liked, usually based off of their name or what color they were wearing. We'd tell our dad, "Pick Lucky to place," or "How about flying first class to win?"
He'd nod and make some notes, and then upon returning from placing his bets, he'd rattle off some of the horses that he boxed in a complicated trifecta, and typically, we'd be out $2. There was one particular time when there was a horse going off at 50-1, and I said, "Dad, you've got to pick the long shot to win." For some reason, he listened. As the race time approached, the horse was now 80-1. Before the bell rang, I said, "Dad, if it wins, we have to use this money to go to a Rascal Flatts concert." I was a huge fan of the band. My dad nodded, most likely assuming the horse was not even going to finish the race. Like a movie though, the horse actually won, and my dad fulfilled the promise and purchased tickets. By this point, it was the end of their tour, and this meant we were going to need to drive all the way to Michigan for the closest remaining show. I remember the car ride, the concert, getting stuck in the parking lot line on the way home, everything. It was so special to spend all of this time one-on-one with my dad. The silliest, simplest moment turned into such a special memory that I'll never forget. After this concert, I think we saw Rascal Flatts 4 or 5 more times together, and many country concerts until I was old enough to drive myself. I miss my dad, but I know he's with me whenever I turn on the radio. Even as new songs are released and come out, I think he'll play a part somehow in helping that songwriter come up with the right lyrics and melody, and then making sure the song gets to my ears. My dad loved music and passed this on to all of his kids. He loved to play songs he liked for others, sing along, and especially to get up and dance. Keep on dancing, Dad, and we'll meet you on the dance floor in heaven someday.
Many of you may know, my dad loves sports. Whether it's watching his kids play or watching his scout teams, besides the Cubs. The cool thing is that the love of sports got passed down to all of us, which led to us to play sports. Whether it's baseball, football, basketball, hockey, he was always there to watch us. And even though he wasn't always the best motivator, for example, one of us would be pitching, and anytime we threw a ball, he would say things like, "Just throw strikes," or "Go walk it now." And he wouldn't just say it to himself, he would make sure everyone at the field heard it. But besides that, he was always proud of you and would keep coming to your games, and that's just who he was. He was always there for you and was always cheering you on. Another way he expressed his love of sports is he always liked watching the Bulls, Bears, White Sox, or the Blackhawks. And sometimes it was fun watching games with them, but sometimes it wasn't. For example, he'd be watching the Blackhawks together, and he would say, "They suck," just because they lost. But the same year, they would win the Stanley Cup. Another example is that the Bears were doing really good this year, and he would watch the first half, and they would be losing, so he leaves the room and falls asleep, but then you wake him up and tell him they won, and he couldn't believe it. Another thing my dad would always do is every year he would buy his Blackhawks tickets for a birthday. And I remember I would go with him, and I remember whenever I'd go with him, I was always so excited and count the days until the game was. And when it was the day of the game, he always made it feel so special. And he loved watching the game, but he also just loved spending time with you. And that's what my dad meant so much to me, because whatever you were doing, he always cared and wanted to experience it with you. So that being said, I want to thank my dad for always being there for me, cheering me on. Love you, Dad.
I believe most Friday nights look better underneath your stadium lights. I believe you love who you love. Ain't nothing you should ever be ashamed of. I believe this world ain't half as bad as it looks.
One thing about my dad that I would like to share is that he was a lover. He loved his neighbors, he loved his friends, and most of all, he loved his family. Many people show their love in different ways. My dad wasn't a very materialistic person, so very rarely did he show his love for others with gifts or big grand gestures. Instead, his love language without a doubt was quality time. My dad would never pass up an opportunity to show up for a loved one, and while he loved his social gatherings and parties like this one, you truly got to see him and feel his love when you were alone with him. And I know what you're all thinking. How the hell did a father of 13 ever get alone time with anybody? As strange as it sounds, his go-to spot was in the car. Whether he was picking you up from a practice, driving you to college, or taking you to a Chicago Blackhawks game for your birthday, he made sure to take advantage of that one-on-one time together and make you feel special. He would share stories from his childhood you had never heard before, teach you life lessons that he had learned along the way, or simply just take the time to tell you how proud he was of you. I remember one car ride we shared together. He told me about all the jobs he had growing up, like shoveling driveways in the winter, mowing lawns for a local cemetery, and bussing tables at a breakfast restaurant. He loved his breakfast. After sharing all those jobs he had, he ended with telling me about the importance of having a job, working hard at what you do, and building good habits and relationships along the way. Something that I carried with me forever and allowed me to find my passion in teaching. We had lots of fun on our car rides too. He loved jamming to his music, showing you his new favorite song he recently discovered, even though it came out 5 years ago, and making a stop to get you a treat or dinner out for just the two of you. When I was about 12 years old, he started up something called the Candy Bar Game. He would pick me up from practice and turn on his best game show host voice, and you were his contestant. He'd number some doors in his car. Door number 1 would be the center console, door number 2, the glove box, door number 3, the overhead mirror, etc. Typically, there was a candy bar or a small prize hidden behind one of the doors that you could win after guessing the correct door number. Occasionally, there'd be a second one hidden for himself, and you could choose to keep the one you found or try a second door. I loved it as a kid, and he knew that. It made me feel special. It wasn't ever about the candy, but about the effort he put into it and the fun we had while playing the game. What many would see as a chore or a simple 10-minute drive home, my dad saw it as an opportunity to show his boy he loved it. There was never a dull moment when he was around, and he never wanted to miss a thing. In November of 2024, for my bachelor party, my dad, brothers, and friends all planned to go to a rooftop at Wrigley Field to watch a college football game that was being played there. It was a little chilly up there on the rooftop in the fall, but we had a great time. We ate, drank, and laughed. My dad was one of the first ones to arrive and was his social self, standing around, talking with everybody, and making sure we all had fun. It was a memory that I'll never forget. About a week or so later, when the family was at the dinner table, my dad told us he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and had already begun treatment. It turned out he was actively receiving chemotherapy at my bachelor party and had hid it underneath his jacket during the game. He and my mother decided to wait for the right time to tell us, and he didn't want to take away from the fun that was planned for me and my brothers that weekend. I had felt so many different emotions after learning this information, but now reflecting back, I'm overwhelmed with love for my father. It was the most selfless thing anyone has ever done for me. And I know there was no way in hell he was going to let himself miss quality time with his family if he had any say about it. As my wedding date approached, my dad became sick, and his illness mixed with treatment made things worse for him. I made sure to tell my parents the most important thing was my dad's health, and I would understand if he wasn't able to be there. In private, I spent nights crying to my fiance with the idea that my father wouldn't make it to my wedding or would be too unwell to attend. He was my hero, and the thought of him at home during my wedding just didn't feel right. However, on the morning of the wedding, he started to feel better. He got ready with me in the morning and was sure to have his black coffee and big breakfast from McDonald's. To this day, I don't know how he did it, but he was by my side through it all. He simply wouldn't let that quality time slip away. Like I said earlier, my dad was a lover and a romantic. If you've ever been to one of our weddings, then you've gotten a small glimpse into that side of him. He would ask the DJ for the mic and take a moment to acknowledge his wife and my amazing mom. He would tell her just how much he appreciated her, and then request to play a slow song for him so he could enjoy a dance with his wife. It was an opportunity to express his love and share a moment with my mom. I know that dance meant the world to my mom and dad, and it meant the world to me and my siblings to witness and eventually join them on the dance floor. He taught us that love isn't always about gifts and money, about making sure you take advantage of that one-on-one time with your loved ones to show them how much they mean to you. I know that I, along with everybody else in this room, will cherish and miss those moments with my dad. But the love he created in this room is something that will live on forever. I'm proud to be a lover like my dad. I love you, Pops.
Thank God for kids like that.
Number 11, Arthur Conway.
Do you ever stop to think or wonder why? Nearest thing to heaven is a child.
My dad loved his kids, all 13 of us. He loved us so much that before my sister Mackenzie was born, he put on his license plate, Dad of 12. When people would talk to him about his license plate, they would be amazed. Wow, really 12? But he loved talking about it to them, especially after Mackenzie was born, because he got to say, I really have 13. Music was a special part of my dad's life, and that song, Thank God for Kids, was definitely one of his favorites. But it's very special to me because he played this song for me when I was born, when I got to meet all my brothers and sisters. Over the years, my dad has taught me many things and life lessons that I will not only remember, but cherish forever. One thing he taught me that always sticks with me is to never be afraid to fail. I played baseball and hockey, and in baseball, he always wanted to see me swing the bat and get a nice hit. Sometimes, I wouldn't swing and not take that chance. And then one day, my dad told me, it's okay if I don't get a hit every time, but if you don't swing, you'll never know what could happen. So I started swinging the bat a little more, and sure enough, I started getting more hits, because I took more chances and wasn't afraid to fail. He also wanted to see me score a lot of goals in hockey. I only would shoot the puck if everything was going good in that moment, which wouldn't happen often. So he said to me, you gotta shoot the puck any chance you get, and take a chance, because what's the worst thing that'll happen? You miss? It's okay if you miss, because it's just a game. So then I started shooting the puck a little more, and sure enough, I started scoring more goals too. I think that's one thing about my dad that made him so special. He wasn't afraid to fail and take chances. I think a lot of people in this room wouldn't be here today if my dad didn't take chances. My favorite part about my dad was definitely his yo-yo skills. I would get one for Christmas or Easter, and I wasn't bad. But when my dad would test out my Duncan yo-yo, he was so amazing, and he knew so many tricks that it seemed like he was just making them on the spot. I remember one time he taught me this trick called loop the loop. I got it for like 1 to 2 loops, and not bad, but when he did it, I think he did 20 straight loops, no problem. He was just that good. I always would get the yo-yos out around the house because I just wanted to watch him and hear him tell stories of his yo-yo tournaments when he was a kid. Whenever I pick up a yo-yo, I can almost feel him with me. But only if it's a Duncan, because if it ain't a Duncan, it ain't a yo-yo. He always would say that. I love being able to share this with him, my yo-yo skills, and I always wanted to make him proud. I love you, Dad, always.
Number 13. My sibling sports took up a lot of my dad's time, and I was always worried that I was missing out on something. But I didn't really have anything to worry about when it came to my dad, because it wasn't about how much time you spent with him. If you knew my dad, then you knew my dad, because he made everyone feel like his best friend, no matter what. Didn't matter how little or how much time you spent with him. And the same was true for his relationship with all of his kids. We all feel so close to him, even though, as you've probably heard, we all bonded over different things. So I was his least athletically inclined kid. That just meant he knew better than to talk to me about sports. Unless he was telling me to set my lineup in fantasy football because I was playing him that week, and he would be nice. And he wasn't always nice in fantasy football. He knew I was kind of hopeless in my sports knowledge and wanted to help me out, which he really did, because I beat him that week. A few years ago, my dad said to me, "You get your smarts from your mother, you get your good looks from her too. Sometimes I wonder if you got anything from me. Sometimes I feel like you got nothing from me." And Dad, wherever you are, I just want to tell you that that's not true. And I got a lot of stuff from you. Just maybe not the athleticism. I did get my music taste from my dad, as did most of my siblings. And I'm not just talking about the country music that was his favorite. I'm talking about ABBA, Billy Joel, Bob Seger, the Eagles, Lady Gaga, weirdly, and just about every other classic rock song that was on his party music playlist. Dad loved music, and I loved what he loved. I also got my sweet treat from my dad. I mean, you could never have enough sweet treats, it was up to us. From the double fudge brownie ice cream to the 2 chocolate Long Johns Dad would get me from Dunkin' Donuts after church that no one else was allowed to eat. They were And he was always down for a snack, especially when stopping at a gas station on a road trip. It was always pump gas, bathroom break, and then ask Dad to buy you candy. And he always said yes, because he was buying himself a snack too. My dad also never minded rewatching a movie, and I loved to rewatch my favorite movies over and over again. So some of my favorites, like the Hannah Montana movie, Grease, and Mamma Mia, were frequent replays that my dad would join in on. It helped that he loved a musical as much as I did, otherwise he would have quit playing. I got a lot of things from my dad, so whenever we were together and doing those things, I could see how much he loved me, and how much he cared about who I was instead of who I wasn't. One of my favorite things about my dad was that he did not have a normal sleep schedule, just like me. Don't get me wrong, he loved to sleep and would sleep just about anywhere he could. But when the clock hit midnight, he would be wide awake in his favorite chair in the family room, watching movies, reading books, listening to his favorite songs, sometimes out loud for some reason. And I would be right there with him in my favorite spot on the couch, in the living room, doing the exact same thing. We didn't always talk when we were up so late, but it was just nice to know that he was there. And sometimes he'd fall asleep while he was listening to his music out loud, and I'd go and pause his music and turn off his iPad for him. Or he'd walk in while I was in the middle of the movie, ask me what movie I was watching, and then proceed to tell me that he'd seen it already, and it was good. He did that a lot, telling you he'd seen a show or a movie when he heard you bring it up in conversation, even if it had just come out 2 days ago. He was always on top of new releases. But anyways, on those late nights, we would always shut down the house together. You know, turn off the lights, make sure everything was put away. And he was usually my last goodnight. Even though he's gone, I think I'll always say goodnight to Dad before I shut down the house and go to bed. So good night, Dad. I'll love you forever, and I know you love me too.
Most of you know by now that my dad was one of the biggest country music fans out there. He would always have something playing, whether he was driving us around or just playing Texas Hold'em on his iPad sitting in his chair. I think one of the bigger reasons why all of us kids loved country music was because of him. One song in particular that my dad and I loved was a song I just walked up here to called Till You Can't by Cody Jensen. The message in that song is to hold your loved ones close while you still can, and to chase your dreams, which is why I think we both loved it so much. Every time we would be somewhere together and that same song would come on, we would find each other and sing our hearts out in front of everybody. These specific moments with my dad were so special to me because nothing else mattered when we were singing that song. When we would meet through the noise and sing together, it made me feel close to him in ways that words could never describe. It would make me emotional and feel alive singing with him and seeing the smile and joy it brought to his face and the face of so many, knowing that he loved it just as much as I did. Every time I listen to the song, I'm going to be thinking of you, Dad, and I know you'll be watching over me, singing along. As Cody Johnson once said, if you're going to love somebody, hold them as long and as close as you can, till you can. I love you, Dad.
Georgia, he was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind because he was way behind. He was willing to make a deal. When he came across this young man sawing on a fiddle and playing it hot, and the devil jumped up on a hickory stump and said, "Boy, let me tell you what."
So I think it's pretty obvious from the size of the crowd here today that my dad was great at making friends. He had a warm and welcoming personality, and he was one of those people that never met a stranger. Over the last week, I've received texts and calls from friends, many of them sharing just how much they enjoyed getting to know my dad over the years. One friend recalling how much he enjoyed just shooting the shit with Larry at a White Sox home opener over a decade ago. My dad left that impression on me. Some people have to really try to be outgoing, but it just came naturally with my dad. There must have been something in the water in that house on Marengo Avenue because all of my Conway aunts and uncles had that same lively personality. If you've ever been to a Conway family party, you've experienced it. There's singing, games, jokes, good meals, and always a healthy debate about Chicago sports. And if you were lucky enough to be invited to one of the 13 Conway cousin weddings, you know we can fill the dance floor. No matter the occasion, it always felt like Dad was in the middle of it all, making sure everyone was having a good time. Christmas Day was always my favorite Conway party. As a young kid, you'd have your parents pick out names and you'd exchange gifts and kind of a present swap. But the real excitement was the white elephant. If you were a kid and you got to that age where you were part of the white elephant, it felt like getting promoted from the minors to the major leagues. And Dad cherished the role of rule maker of the white elephant, where we'd all bring crappy gifts and no one really wanted them anyways. And he'd get up there and yell out the rules, call out the numbers, and he'd give the play-by-play as gifts were opened, making sure that everyone proudly showed off their newly acquired gift like they were a model on the showcase show. We've heard a lot about his love of music tonight, so it should come to no surprise that one year he instituted a rule where the whole family had to sing the 12 days of Christmas before a single present was opened. If the party was at one of his siblings' houses, he'd take his gift and try hiding it somewhere in their house so he didn't have to take the piece out. When my brother Scott and his wife got engaged, my dad and Barb hosted a party for them at their home in Naperville. In the lead up to the party, Scott made some comment to my dad about not registering for a crock pot because they already had one. That's all Larry needed to hear. He called everyone that was invited to the shower and asked them to box up their own crock pots to bring them as a gift. Jen's parents came all the way from Ohio to meet their daughters, soon to be in-laws. They had very confused look on their face to start, but by the time Jen opened her fourth crock pot, I think they knew their daughter was marrying into a family with a sense of humor. The Conways have a great tradition of going ice skating on Black Friday. For the last 30-ish years, we've rented out an ice rink for an hour, and I'll go skating to burn off the turkey insides from the Thanksgiving dinner the day before. Leading up to the party, Dad couldn't help but tell us all about how good of a skater he was when he was a kid, when he and the neighborhood kids would race down the 16th Street Park in figure skates. In Dad's eyes, the more people that could enjoy the ice, the better. He'd always call me the week before to make sure I knew to extend the invite to Christine's family and our friends. If the Sox home opener was his favorite day of the year, the skating party had to be number 2 and number 3. The last 2 years, Dad had every excuse to sit out the skating party. He was in a lot of pain this year, but that didn't stop him. He was there with a smile on his face, making sure the family tradition continued. Now, I'm sure my dad would love to be at this party. All these friends of his sharing their favorite Larry stories over Spotted Cow. He'd be so proud just watching all of us up here in his favorite team's jerseys. With that being said, I do think he would be disappointed if we didn't take a moment to give Bob the thanks and praise that she deserves. We all know Dad had his quirks, and I'm sure at times he was a lot, even before the diagnosis. Yet you somehow made juggling the roles of mother, grandmother, wife, and caregiver look easy when we know it was anything but. For 35 years, you and Dad were a shining example of what a happy marriage should look like. Thank you for being his partner, through the ups and the downs, and for building a family he was truly proud of.
For those of you that have been fortunate enough to see Larry boogie on down and dance to Shania Twain's Man, I Feel Like a Woman, I'd say you're very lucky. He absolutely loved this song and would listen to it at all hours of the day. For example, only a few short weeks ago, my brother Jake and I were out in the warehouse at Foremost, packing up orders. It's probably like 9:15, 9:30 in the morning, when all of a sudden we hear the back door open and the lines, "The best thing about being a woman is the prerogative to have a little fun," out loud over an iPhone speaker. Sure enough, in walks my dad, post-chemo from earlier that morning, blaring the song out loud and dancing like this. Saying good morning to every employee he passes by. That's just the kind of guy Larry was. One of the strongest things about my dad was his confidence. He never worried about fitting in or being what others expected. He liked what he liked, and he liked it proudly. For example, he claimed Panda Express had the best orange chicken in the world. Even though it was one of the only Chinese food restaurants he's ever tried. He truly believed his music was the best music, and honestly, listening to it with him made you believe it too. And when a song came on that he loved, he didn't wait for anyone else. He'd be the first, and sometimes the only, one on the dance floor, completely unbothered, completely himself. That confidence wasn't loud or showy, it was freeing. It gave the people around him permission to relax, to laugh, and to be themselves too. However, one thing he was always overly confident on that always backfired were his shortcuts on the road. He would never listen to what the map directions said, because he always had a quicker route. Never in my life did we actually save time. If I was a betting man, I'm sure he still hasn't made it to heaven yet and settled in because he's still stuck on the road. Anyways, I never forget the biggest life lesson he gave me that I still remember to this day. I was in the 8th grade at the time, and I was playing my first year of travel baseball. Now, I'd say I was a good ball player, but not a great one. Anyways, that year I batted last every single game. And my position was always left field or on the bench. My name was the only one on that lineup card that never changed. There was a stretch during the beginning of the season where I was struggling at the plate. I couldn't hit a piñata at a birthday party. I was striking out left and right, just looking for walks to get on base. When I made contact, it was never hard, and my dad could tell I was getting frustrated. He could see me losing the passion and excitement for the game. On one of our drives home, he turned the radio off, which he never did, and told me that I needed to get my confidence back up. He told me, "You should be walking up to that plate every at-bat thinking, I'm gonna get a hit off this guy, or I'm gonna get on base." He told me it's not only how you should approach the game of baseball, but also the game of life. Whether it's for a job interview, a promotion, asking a girl out, or studying for a test, go into it with the right perspective thinking overly confident that you got this. Sure enough, next game, we had a tournament in West Chicago. I had a stand-up double to the wall my first at-bat. And I remember looking behind home plate, seeing my dad in his chair, just with his thumb up in the air. To this day, I still try to live by that mindset. One of the best decisions I ever made was getting into the family business at Foremost this past year. I love that I was able to see him every day at the office, especially these last few months. I wanted to share with you all one of the last conversations I had with him before he passed. It was right before the holidays, and he called me into his office. To give you some background, I was at the house early that same morning because I dropped off my son Quinn for my mom to watch him that day. I sat down wondering what this conversation was going to be about. The first thing that came out of his mouth was, and pardon my French, I want to tell you that I am so fucking proud. Do you know that? That boy of yours, Quinn, he's awesome. He's so cute and just filled with energy. All morning as I was getting ready for work, I just heard him screaming with excitement downstairs. You and Hallie did a great job, and I can't tell how proud I am watching you become a dad. I can safely say Dad was proud of all 13 of his kids. And now we can all carry on his legacy forever. Love you, Pops.
Now batting, number 2, Scott Cowley.
Down to our knees, today we win it all.
Go Cubs.
Right. Throw them out.
So as you can see with my amazing jersey I got on here, me and my father do not always see eye to eye on some things. First and most glaring spot of disagreement between me and my dad was my choice of being a fan of the Cubs. Rather than his lifelong diehard fan of being a White Sox fan. Even though knowing this, he would take me, my brother Matt, and my cousin Wes to White Sox games every summer. He would take us there just to enjoy a summer day at the ballpark. He would constantly tell stories of past White Sox players and random stats that I'm sure he would make up on the spot. We didn't know. We were kids back then, so we didn't know. Second thing that me and him could never really get on board with was my choice of beer. If you knew him before his undying love for Spotted Cow, his choice of beer was MGD. Disgusting. The only thing that they had the house for parties was either Miller MGD or strangely Coronas. I don't know. When I got to the age to start drinking, I would bring beer to a family party. I would bring a case of Bud Light. Immediately when I walked in the house and he saw it, you would hear, "Get that crap out of my house." So fortunately for me, I had cousins who also drink Bud Light. So it was not only me, but it was also them who, if they walked by him during the party while drinking a Bud Light, they would try to get converted to drinking MGD or Miller, and how Miller was so much better than any of the other crap that was out there. A thing or two I did get from my dad, which I think he would proudly claim, was my affinity for singing. As you heard in a bunch of these stories, he loved music. If you ever saw him at a party or were with him around music, he would sing and didn't care who heard. Most of the time, the words were not right. He would make up his own, but he didn't care. I feel that I got the confidence from singing from him, and it has worked out very well in my favor to either starting a night of karaoke at a bar, which I have been known to do, or singing an impromptu song to my wife at our wedding, which was not my choice. But the most important thing that I think that I actually know that I got, which I know all of my brothers and sisters have got from my dad, which was the love for family. The way that he made the smallest occasion important, a baseball game either in the backyard or if you were playing for a team, a school play, a random weekend together, whatever it was, he showed how it was so much better to have family there. That mentality makes it not only easy, but fun to show up for the little things. When one person has a bigger cheering squad than the entire other team. It's a special feeling, and Dad was the biggest cheerleader. So next time you have the opportunity to go support someone you care about, even if it's something small like a Park District basketball game. Got it, Scott. Go cheer your head off. Start a wave with 15 people in the stands and make sure you sing while you're doing it. Show that person you care about how fun supporting them is, and most likely you will see Larry cheering next to you. So I ask you, please raise your spotted cow, your MPD, whatever's in your hand. Whatever's in your hand. And drink one to the person who made all of us happy to be called Tom.
Thank you for listening. All 13 of us were able to talk.
Yeah!
We love you all.